1st, 1997. At 12:23 a.m., an out-of-control sedan slammed into this pillar. A tragic traffic accident or a perfectly planned assassination.
He's not dead. They're just saying that.
The doctor just announced it?
Yes, but I don't care. They're just saying that to get people to leave. He's not dead. I'm not dead. He's dead.
I had this feeling who's ever elected president, like Clinton was, no matter what your promises you promise on the campaign trail, blah, blah, blah. When you win, you go into this smoky room with the 12 industrialist, capitalist scumfucks who got you in there, and you're in this smoky room, and this little film screen comes down, and a big guy in a cigar roll of film. And it's a shot of the Kennedy assassination from an angle you've never seen before. It looks suspiciously off the grassy knoll. And then the screen goes up, and the lights come up, and they go to the new president. Any questions? Just what my agenda is. First we bomb Baghdad. You got it. Oh, here, did you see that? Did everyone see that? Yeah, but no. What happened was, Oswald's gun went off, causing an echo through the buildings of Dealey Plaza. And the echo went by the limo on the left, up into the grassy knoll, hitting some leaves, causing dust to fly out, which 56 witnesses testified was a gunshot, because immediately Kennedy's head went over. But the reason his head went over is because the echo went by the motorcade on the left, and he went, what was that? So there. We have figured it out. CIA killed Kennedy. Here.
Palestinian man Sahan was seized, charged, tried and convicted. Nearly 40 years on, he's still in jail, repeatedly denied parole. Violent deaths of prominent people, whether they be Bobby Kennedy's brother JFK or even Dianna, Princess of Wales, routinely attract conspiracy theories.
I've heard that someone gave Bob a pair of boots, and that Bob put his foot in the boots, and these boots, what's wrong with them? And he put his hand inside, and at the tip of the boot, he found a piece of copper wire, curved almost needle-like. Years later, I was watching ABC News, and one former CIA officer just happened to say, if I were to kill somebody and not have it be known, I would give them a pair of boots. They'd put their foot into it. They would get cancer of the foot. It would spread, metastasize, and they would die of brain cancer. And I was just floored.
Or is it just a hero asking
The National Transportation Safety Board, the NTSB, investigates all airplane crashes. They found no evidence in this case of any mechanical problems. The weather was clear and the moon was visible. The radar report shows that John's plane just suddenly dropped, as if someone had grabbed the controls, the steering wheel, and pushed it forward as hard as they could. It looks like a suicide.
Linda Killian from People magazine. I just wonder if there's any information about why, when the plane was expected in about 9:30, if there's any idea why you were not notified until 3 in the morning, and how important...
Well, now you see why the Pentagon had to take over the press coverage. That way, if some terrorist like Linda Killian at People magazine tried to throw a bomb or ask a good question, they could just cut her off. This question of why the plane was not officially reported missing until 2 a.m. never got answered, never got asked again, and never got any mention in any of the media. Bush got on a bus at 10 o'clock that Friday morning and disappeared for 3 days. On Saturday, the media ran to Al Gore to ask his response to John Jr.'s death so he could say how sad and sorry he was. And Gore said that he would cancel all his campaign rallies for the weekend out of respect for the family's losses. And then the reporters ran to the Bush campaign headquarters. I mean, here's Bush, a president's son. What does he think of the death of another president's son? That was their angle. And is he going to cancel his campaign appearances like Gore? But you know what Bush said? Nothing. He was nowhere to be found. How do you explain it? It's not so difficult. They needed a stooge, someone they could trust to shut up and do what he was told as they planned and executed the murder of 3,000 Americans,
to anger the American people into a series of unending wars, killing tens of thousands more, so that they could steal hundreds of billions of dollars from the national treasury.
Now, if his father got his seat at this table by killing President Kennedy, who did little Georgie have to kill to get his seat at this table?
This was clearly, the way the structure is collapsing, this was the result of something that was planned. It's not accidental that the first tower just happened to collapse and then the second tower just happened to collapse in exactly the same way. How they accomplished this, we don't know.
I'm okay, all right? You want to call your mother?
As well as many of the upper floors, and every few minutes you'll hear like a small sort of a rumbling sound, almost like an explosion sound, and another chunk of it will come flying down.
To me, it sounded like an explosion, then the building, the rolling sound sounded like the building collapsed.
The floors collapsed down. I saw it blow and then ran like hell. I thought 69, but it's still wrong.
It just went ba-boom, it was like a bomb went off. And it was like holy hell coming down them stairs. And then when we finally got to the bottom, it was coming out on a mezzanine level there, and then other explosions came right on the building went flying.
Yeah, just saw that as well. The second tower, the only one that was standing, tower number 1, just we saw some kind of explosion, a lot of smoke come out at the top of the tower, and then it collapsed down onto the street.
Next thing we know, it was boom, and the floor started shaking. And then we saw debris fall down, and next thing we know, we had to get out of the building. We stuck on the stairs for a while, and finally got down to the lobby. Then we get to the lobby.
Making my way to the foot of the World Trade Center, suddenly, while talking to an officer who was questioning me about my press credentials, we heard a very loud blast, an explosion. We looked up, and the building literally began to collapse.
During the time that the airplane coming in to the Pentagon, there was a young man who would come in and say to the Vice President, the plane is 50 miles out, the plane is 30 miles out. And when he got down to the plane is 10 miles out, the young man also said to the Vice President, do the orders still stand? And the Vice President turned and whipped his neck around and said, of course the orders still stand. Have you heard anything to the contrary?
London could survive the Blitz, it can survive 4 miserable bombers like this. I'm not saying there are 4 bombers, 4 miserable events like this.
Little is known for certain of the 4 men's movements, and the picture is only further confused by sloppy drafting, unclear sourcing of information, and confusion of speculation and comment. No official has publicly admitted responsibility for compiling the report.